results from the top 5 leagues in Europe. Not forgetting the Nigerian Premier Football League as well. Promises to be another exciting edition of for the show today. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. Of course, we'll bring you all that you need to know revolving around the water sports. Please stay with us to be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, joining me on today's edition of the show is Emmanuel Michael. Good evening to you, Michael, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers. It's always a pleasure to do this with you.
Always a pleasure, of course, to be here to bring you the latest revolving around the world of sports. Let's talk about the performance of Team Nigeria at the All-African Games. Of course, Uganda and Nigeria emerged as winners in the men and women team event, respectively, at the maiden Scrabble tournaments at the African Games in Ghana. Scrabble is featuring at the Games for the first time, but as one of the demonstration sports at African Olympics. The keenly contested mind game saw over 100 Scrabble players showcase their world power in 27 rounds in Accra, Ghana. The encounters unpack upsets and surprises as the 8 English-speaking countries, Liberia, Zambia, Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, and Sierra Leone. In the men's category, they won battle to qualify into the knockout stage. After trailing games, Nigeria qualified to face Uganda, while Kenya slugged it out against Liberia in the semi-final. However, Nigeria ruled in the female category after 6 wins and 3 losses, with a cumulative spread of plus 325, while Kenya finished second after 3 wins and 6 losses with cumulative spread of minus 325. Michael, impressive ride, of course, for the male scrabblers, or for Nigeria, you know, getting to a very, very enviable stage in the African Games.
Yeah, impressive outing for them, Kingsley. And Scrabble is not a popular game here in this part of the world, but it looks as though as it's making it a debut, appearance in the All-African Game. We are also not left aside out of the countries that have also tried to develop Scramble. They're looking at the result and achievements so far, I think it's very clear that Nigeria, would definitely go far when they also, take a deliberate action toward developing a sport. I mean, Scramble to be precise. I think it's a good one. Let's hope that they can continue in this feat, possibly get to the final and, give us a gold medal in that angle. But for me, I think it has been a very impressive outing for them.
Impressive outing for Team Nigerian Scrabblers. We hope that, of course, they will get, something down here, going forward from what, of course, we've seen so far. But let's stay away from that as we hear that Nigeria's senior men's cricket team, the Yellow Greens, faltered in their first game for the ongoing 2023 African Games in Ghana, losing by 47 runs against Tanzania at the Achimota Cricket Oval yesterday. 4 days after the women's events ended at the same venue with Nigerian clinching a historic bronze, the men began hostilities yesterday with Nigeria taking on Tanzania in one of the simultaneous opening games in Group B, and they lost in that encounter. Michael, what do you make of the poor starts for the Nigerian male cricket team?
Not a good one. Looking at the way they've actually prepared heading into the All-African Game, where they were actually very, very competitive in taking part in the just concluded T20 some weeks ago at here in Lagos, where we actually finished second. And of course, you listen to the coach of the side when they were departing the shores of Nigeria down to Ghana to take part in the All-African Game. They were beaming with a lot of confidence out, and of course, the morals of the players as well very, very high. A whole lot of hope and aspiration repose on them to actually go out there and also continue in the fine form that we've seen them of late, but then they lost their first game. But in all, I think there's still light at the end of the tunnel, because you can't actually use this one game to judge them. There's still time, there's still opportunity for them to redeem themselves in the second game as well. But then I think it's not a good start, but I hope to see a better side of them in their next game.
Let's see how it goes, of course, for the cricket male team of Nigeria at the All-African Games. The female team, of course, won bronze. We hope that maybe the male will go all the way, at least to see how they can get past, winning bronze medal in this particular one. But still talking about the All-African Games, Team Nigeria will hope to continue its dominance in track and field at the African Games as athletes begin to burn the track today. The ongoing 2023 edition in Ghana, since the first edition of the African Games at Congo, Brazzaville in 1965, Team Nigeria has dominated the athletics events, winning a total of 309 medals, comprising 141 gold, 104 silver, and 64 bronze. While other events continue at different venues, attention will shift to the University of Ghana Sport Complex, where 8 events will commence and enter the semi-finals. Team Nigeria will compete in the men's and women's 100 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, as well as mixed 4x400 meters relay, while 110 meters hurdles will also take place. Nigeria's first involvement will be the men's, 100 meters heat, and we'll see how, of course, how that one, of course, will pan out. But we'll try as we can to make sure we'll keep you up to date as the result unfolds. But Michael, it promises to be another one, of course, for Team Nigeria at the All-African Games today, as, of course, we'll be looking forward to getting medals, in the All-African Games when it has to do with athletics.
Yes, definitely, Kingsley. If there's one area that we need to also be very, very hopeful and very confident of going into is, the angle of athletics, because looking at the history of the All-African Game, I think over the years, Nigeria have shown strength in the area of athletics out there. And of course, this year is not going to be different, especially looking at some of the names that is going to also compete out there to fly the colors of Nigeria, the likes of Tobia Moshun, the likes of Rutu Soro, consider Ekanem, not forgetting except Brume to mention but a few. These are very, very strong contenders out there. So, and again, you see, the athletic department is one area that we have our strength in, and we must also be able to maximize this opportunity by making sure that we rack all the gold medals that is very available. Of course, we have more than about 50 athletes, that is taking part in this very one, and that is going to give us a lot of advantage. Also, considering the form of the likes of Toby Amoshun, consider Ekanem, I think they're in fine form right now. So I think for me, we should do everything possible because this is our area of strength, I keep mentioning. And if we don't take advantage of the area of our own comparative advantage, it simply means that we are going to give other countries that opportunity to close up the gap against us. The likes of South Africa, Algeria, they are very, very close, against in Nigeria, who is seated second on the log. I think for me, we should be very hopeful. Like I said, looking at the form of our athletes out there, I'm very, very confident that indeed we are going to rack up gold medals from this, department.
All right, we hope that Team Nigeria will be able to grab, those medals, in the All-African Games. Talking about, athletics, as it stands. Toby Amuson, Consider Ekanem, Enoka Dekuke, and the rest of them, of course, will be in action going forward, and we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what they're able to do in this particular one. But still talking about the All-African Games, Team Nigeria, they've moved up one place on the medal table after winning 2 gold medals to reclaim their second spot at the ongoing African Games in Ghana. Having stayed in second position since the commencement of the event, Nigeria dropped to third position on the medals table, with South Africa claiming the second spot. Nigeria ended day 10 of the events in third position with 76 medals, 27 gold, 21 silver, and 28 bronze, to overtake South Africa, who occupied third place with 35 gold, 29 silver, and 39 bronze medals. So Nigeria sits above South Africa on the medals table, having claimed more gold medals than they have, more gold medals. They have fewer total medals won compared to South Africa's, who have won a total of 95 medals. So, Michael, gold medals, of course, matters a lot, and that's why, of course, Team Nigeria, they've been able to reclaim their second position from South Africa.
Yes, of course, and that is the reason why I keep charging our team, our contingent in whatever sporting strata we are taking part in. And of course, you know that we are taking part in about 25 different sporting angle out there. That is why we keep charging them to go for the gold, because for me, the gold is all that matters. And looking at the gold medals that Egypt, who is leading the medals log have right now, I think the disparity is too much. They have about 91 gold medals, while Nigeria has 27, seated on the second position. I think we should do everything possible so that we ensure that we close up the gap, because at this point we can't be playing catch up, because looking at the disparity, it is very clear that we can't catch up with the likes of Egypt, but then we can also improve our medals log to also give countries like South Africa, Algeria a very large margin as well, so that at least we can be able to cement that second position, because as it stands right now, nothing is guaranteed. The second position is not even guaranteed for us, because we just have 2 gold medals adrift of the people, South Africa, which is seated on the third position. So I think we should always go for the gold, especially now that it has to boil down to athlete, where is our area of strength. We must, as a matter of must, make sure that we clinch all gold medals available. Not just clinching medals out there, but gold medal is very, very essential, more than any other thing. And that is why I'm very, very hopeful that indeed we are going to step up to the occasion, looking at the quality that we have in our ranks when it has to do with the athletics angle. So I think it is good that we've been able to reclaim back that second position, which was under threat, because the likes of South Africa, Algeria is going toe-to-toe with us, but quite fortunate for us, we were able to pick up 2 gold medals to add to what we had earlier, which also increased the tally of gold medals that we have already. So I think for me, there is hope, because we are heading into our area of strength, like I said earlier.
All right, a total of 154 medals for Egypt, of course, which comprises 90 gold, 35 silver, and 29 bronze medals. Despite failing to add to their medal haul, Algeria remain in fourth position with 22 gold, 30 silver, and 37 bronze medals, totaling 89 medals as well. Also, Tunisia maintained their fifth position with 10 gold, 20 silver, and 29 bronze medals. Meanwhile, host Ghana continue to climb up the medal table after picking up their ninth gold for the event to move from 8th position to 6th on the log to displace Mauritius, who now occupy the 7th spot. Eritrea, Madagascar, Morocco, and Cameroon complete at the top 10. Host country, Ghana, moving from 8th, Michael, to 6th position. I think this will actually make Ghanaians, to be a bit happy despite, the hardship down there.
Yeah, yes, of course. Looking at the way they actually started the competition, I think it wasn't on a good footing. There was a whole lot of question mark surrounding around Ghana hosting this very one because of the economic downturn in the country, the hardship that they are passing through. A whole lot of discourse about, them not being able to at least take care or cater for the citizen even before hosting this very one. But then, as it looks as though as the competition progresses, they are actually beginning to find their rhythm. It is good for them. Let's see if this can be able to douse the tensions of the teaming, populace out there, talking about the Ghanaian citizens who are not very, very happy about Ghana hosting it because of what they are passing through out there economically. But then, for me, I think Ghana, they are doing pretty well. Don't forget, last week, about 3 or 4 days ago, they were seated in 15th position, from 15 down to 14, from 14 down to 8. And it looks as though, like I said, they are gradually getting back their mojo, back on track. I think they still have, a whole lot of, effort to put out there to make sure that they finish within the podium, because it will be very, very unfortunate that after hosting, a whole lot of confidence, a whole lot of hope and aspiration reposed on you as a host country to make the difference out there, and at the end of the whole competition, you are unable to make a podium finish, and that will be very, very sad for the Ghanaians out there, coupled with the challenges that they are facing already. So the only way, to calm the pressure, to calm the nerve of the teaming population out there that is also against the government hosting this very one, is to make sure that they finish very, very high.
All right, so keep our fingers crossed and see how far Ghana will be able to progress, in the All-African Games. But away from that, let's talk tennis this evening as Poland Iga Swiatek claimed another dominant win over Maria Sakkari to clinch her second title, second Indian Wells title. In a repeat of 2022 final, the world #1 produced an almost identical score, beating Greece Sakkari 6-4, 6-love in 69 minutes in that particular encounter. Michael, what do you make of that performance from Iga Swiatek?
Clinical finishing from her at the 6-4, 6-love. That is a statement of intent. It was a convincing victory for Iga Swiatek, and this also underlined her being the world #1. It is not by fluke. She has actually worked to get to where she is right now. Getting that victory was a very massive one. Don't forget, 1,000 points is at stake. $1.1 million as well is at stake in this very one. And I think this is going to even further extend, her ranking, her points ranking out there when this month, a ranking is also released because of the point accumulation that she got from courtesy of her winning the Indian Wells. I think it was an impressive display from Iga Swiatek. And for me, I think the future of the WTA is very, very secure with the likes of Iga Swiatek, showing this sign of dominance, showing signs of hope, showing signs of great things to come. I think, like I said, it was an imperious display from Iga Swiatek.
So you think nobody will be able to challenge Iga Swiatek, taking a look at her form at the moment?
Well, you still have some big names out there. Arena Zabalenka is also there. Coco Gauff is all there. Ons Jabeur, though not very, very consistent as well. But these are great players out there in the WTA that is ready out there to give her a good run for her money. But then, looking at the way she has been able to improve her game, over the past couple of years, I tell you, Iga Swiatek is going to definitely set and even break more records in the tennis world out there. And it will be very, very difficult if the likes of Arina Zabalenka, Coco Gauff, Ons Jabeur, Emma to mention but a few, if they don't also step up their game, I tell you, Iga Swiatek is definitely going to dominate the WTA for a quite long time with her impressive display so far.
All right, we'll see how it goes for Iga Swiatek. That particular win secured a 19th career title for Swiatek, who's 32 years and the second for the year, having also won in the Qatar last month. Sakkari, who's 38 years, was playing in her 10th WTA final and hoped for her third title, but Swiatek charged into a 3-0 lead in California, and of course was able, of course, to get past Sakkari in that one. Now, Swiatek has made a strong comeback since her surprise third-round exit at the Australian Open in January by the Czech teen Linda Noskova, and she now aims to continue that form by winning the Miami Open, where in 2022 she became just the fourth woman to do the Sunshine Double after Steffi Graf, Kim Clijsters, and Victoria Azarenka. We hope, of course, she continue with this momentum going forward. And don't forget, she became the 10th woman to win the Indian Wells title twice. No one has managed to lift the trophy 3 times, as it says. So let's see how it goes, of course, for Iga Swiatek. Just like Michael said, is the future of tennis secure with Iga Swiatek, of course, topping the WTA? That's a very big question, of course, and that maybe in the coming days or months or years, we'll try, of course, to see how that question, of course, will be answered. But away from the WTA, let's take a look at the ATP now. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz defended his Indian Wells title with a straight set win over Daniel Medvedev in repeat of last year's final. Alcaraz, who's 20 years, beat the Russian world number 4 7-6, 6-1 to claim his 4th title since Wimbledon in July last year. Michael, another title for the man Carlos Alcaraz after a long while.
Yeah, great one for Carlos Alcaraz out there. But looking at the result for me heading into the game, I was actually taken aback because of the fact that I expected Daniel Medvedev to at least take a pound of flesh of Carlos Alcaraz. Don't forget, the two of them actually met last time out, and Carlos Alcaraz had the better of Daniel Medvedev. So for me, I thought maybe it was going to be a revenge mission for Daniel Medvedev, but then his quality was not good enough to at least topple or upstage Carlos Alcaraz. I think Carlos Alcaraz is actually showing some sign of improvement.
Sorry to cut you short, okay, Michael. Is Medvedev a top tennis player?
Well, you say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that sometimes when you don't.
How do you describe a top tennis player?
A top tennis player is one who is very, very consistent. Over the past years, you have proved your worth out there. You are very consistent. You deliver when all odds, is against you, and when the hope is there. I mean, when that pressure is there, you are able to maneuver those pressure and still deliver consistently. This is what makes you a top player. A top player is not one who will just pick up the fire in one game and in the next game he or she collapses. I mean, that wouldn't make you a top player either. A top player has to do with a lot of work. He has to do with consistency. He has to do with passion, and the result, especially, that is what matters. The result. Are you consistent? Because being consistent without the result is another issue that can make you not to be a top player. But if you are consistent, if you are getting the result, this is what makes you a top player. And for me,
is Medvedev close to that?
A little bit close to that angle, because at least we've seen some flashes of good.
I'm so worried for Medvedev. How can you been in the game for a very, very long time? In fact, at some point, so many tipped him to be the next, Novak and the Rafa Nadal and the rest. So many, of course, actually thought he was going to fill in those shoes. But the man is not even getting closer to that. Alcaraz is actually having you're having a strong time with the likes of Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, even Alexander Zverev. So consistency has been a problem And for me, being in the game for a very long time and not being able, of course, to maybe achieve a lot in terms of results and performance, consistency, just like you mentioned, I cannot really categorize Medvedev as a top tennis player at all.
Well, for me, depending on the angle that you are looking at it, some of his fans out there will also want to disagree with you, looking at his past record as well. He had some impressive outing in time past, but the result is not going his way. Just like you said, he was expected to be the new face of table tennis after the likes of Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, but then he was unable to fit into that shoe, and that is why Carlos Alcaraz came into the picture with his impressive display. And again, age is still on the side of Carlos Alcaraz, and this gives him an advantage over Dani Medvedev. So for me,
well, we've seen a certain Djokovic beat Alcaraz on several occasions.
Definitely.
Not once, not twice.
But then I think, like I
think
said,
it's all about experience. Probably not necessarily the energy. At this point in time. For me.
But most time, Kingsley, you even for the fact that we can't rule away experience, but then there are some games that experience can't just get you through. Example is all the Australian Open, the way Novak Djokovic was hosted out of the competition. If we talk about the experience of the Australian Open, I think you should have outrightly given it to Novak Djokovic even before the final, but then he bowed out in an unfamiliar fashion. So most time, or sometime rather, experience does not count. What counts there is your determination, what you want to achieve for yourself, what you want to make in the world of tennis out there is what that matters. So I think looking at Carlos Alcaraz, looking at his age, still 20, there's still room for him to improve. So I'm definitely seeing him to be the new face of tennis out there. But for Dani Medvedev, I think he has come short of that high hope and expectation that was actually reposed on him to be the new face of tennis out there.
Alcaraz, of course, secured his 13th career title and became the first repeat winner at the Indian Wells since Novak Djokovic won 3 straight titles from 2014 to 2016. And of course, an impressive feat, of course, for the man, once more. But can Alcaraz build on this momentum? Can he build on this performance? Because since July last year, he has not been able to lay his hand on a title. This is another moment for him. Can he build on this?
Of course, I think he can. There's one thing about the winning mentality. Winning gives you that belief. It gives you that confidence, even though that confidence wasn't there because of the fact that you've not been able to stay consistent and win some game for yourself. But there's one thing about you winning a major trophy out there. It brings back that belief in yourself that I can do it. Even at the highest stage, I did it. Therefore, let me also continue in this line of performance out there. So I think he has what it takes to also continue in this line of victory.
Let's keep our fingers crossed and see how far Carlos Alcaraz, of course, will be able to go this season in tennis. A lot of worries for the likes of Novak Djokovic, Michael. The man has not been able to lay his hand on a title this season. Not the Novak Djokovic we saw last season.
Yes, of course. I'm not surprised. Age has a very major role to play. You don't expect him to be competing the way he was when he was 20, 22 or 25 thereabout. And these are some of the things that is going to serve as a punctuation against him staying quite long on the court. And I think for me, to be honest, I think he should be thinking of retirement in very, very soon. So I think this is the reason. We know of the quality that he has. I mean, his quality has never been in doubt for any day, but there's one thing about nature. You cannot actually cheat nature. When that time comes, you will definitely tell. Not even if it does not tell on your body out there, but you will definitely tell on your game out there. Because if you are unable to replicate the same success we've seen you over time, if you're unable to display some of those fine games we know of you, I think it's a sign that indeed age is gradually creeping in, and he cannot be able to perform at the highest standard. But then that is not to take anything away from him, because we know what he brings to the table. But the truth remains that age is not it's a factor that is actually looking as though it is actually making his game to take a different turn this time around.
All right, so keep our fingers crossed. Of course, those were the latest in the world of tennis over the weekend. But we'll take a short break now. When we'll come back from this break, we'll bring you all the news revolving the Nigerian Premier Football League Match Day 26 fixtures. We'll be right back.
Greenwoods went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it. Fight him. He tries a right hand and down goes the ball straight away. Oh, what a point to end it on.
So now it's this winner at the best. This winner
12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to Arsenal. What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries.
Greenwoods went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it. Fight him. He tries a right hand and down goes the ball straight away. Oh, what a point to end it on.
So now it's this winner at the best. This winner
12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to Arsenal.
Back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we're still bringing you the latest revolving around the world of sports. Michael, let's quickly move on as we take a look at the Nigerian Premier Football League Match Day 26 fixtures. A total of 23 goals, of course, were scored across different centers over the weekend. Michael, what do you make of the goals? 23 goals in Match Day 26.
Average match day 26, 10 different centers producing 23 goals.
Yes.
I think if you do the mathematical aspect of it, you are having about a 2.001% ratio of goals scored by each game, which I think for me is very, very average. And though typical of the NPFL, where we don't get to see much goals here, but in all, I think it was an average, statistics out there.
Average statistics in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Talking about the result, Shooting Stars, of course, they beat Remo Stars by 2-0. Remo Stars, in the past 4 games, we've seen them dropping huge numbers of points.
Not a good one for Remo Stars. Looking at the way they started the league, we say that at this point in time where they are expected at least to keep picking all 3 points so that you will enable them to finish very strong on the league, they are beginning to drop a point. And for me, if you start dropping points at this point in time where we have less than 13 games to go in the league, it will be very, very detrimental to your club, to your side, depending on where you are going to finish at. So I think it has been a very, very bad 3 or 4 weeks right now for them. They truly need to come back, find what seems to be the problem and correct it so that they can continue to get all 3 points, because this is where it matters most, where it finishes on the log.
Bayelsa United were able to get all 3 points against Kano Pillars. Michael, that was another impressive performance for Bayelsa United, or probably home advantage actually played it in that one.
Yes, of course, you can't rule away the home advantage when you talk about the NPFL League. Of course, there's a whole lot of improvements so far in this year's edition, where the NPFL body has brought a whole lot of changes in the league there to ensure that they have a fair officiating out there in the league, but then you can't still rule away the home advantage when you talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League. We know Bayelsa United, they are one team that is actually struggled this season as well. At some point, you know, some of the players were actually given some note of warning that if they don't improve on the result that they're getting out there, they may be forced, you know, to, you know, slash down their salaries out there. And Canopilla is one of the traditional team here when you talk about the NPFL. So coming to Bayelsa to lose all 3 points, I think for me it's quite expected.
Abia were split goalless against Sunshine Stars. Enugu Rangers beat league leaders Lobby Stars 2-1. Michael, what do you make of Fidelis Ilechukwu with the Enugu Rangers side this season?
For me, I think Fidelis Ilechukwu with the Ranger side this season, they've actually shown a whole lot of promise. They are showing class. And in their last 6 games, they have not lost any match. They are also very, very much in contention for the league this season with the likes of Lobby Stars, Enyimba, you know, to mention Plateau. I think for me, they have been able to at least, you know, create that fear factor among other teams. Any team right now playing Enugu Rangers is very, very wary because of the kind of football they play these days. They are very, very coordinated and they score goals, and their defensive lineup is very, very okay. So for me, I think it was an impressive display from them against a league leader. We are talking about a league leader here who has been getting all the results in their way. Meeting Enugu Rangers was a clear statement of intent from Fidelis Ilechukwu.
Michael, Doma United continued to struggle as they were beaten by Bender Insurance 4-0.
Disappointing one for Doma United. We know Doma United, Sporting Lagos, these are the teams that started the leagues on a very, very fine footing. So we thought maybe they were going to continue in that fine start to the league. But look as though as the league continued to wear on, they seems to have lost that spark. They seem to have lost that you know, rhythm, and that is why they continue to get bad results. But for me, I think it's a quite disappointing one for Doma United. Looking at the way they actually started the league, I think this point in time they should be contending for the league if they had, you know, followed with the pace and speed to which they used to start the league. Till now, I assure you they should have been contending for the league, but then I think it was a quite disappointing result for them.
Sporting Lagos continued their resurgence as they beat Kwara United 2-0.
Good one for Sporting Lagos because they actually needed this very result. You know, in the past 4-5 weeks back, we were actually talking about Sporting Lagos, how they also started the league very fine, but they, you know, they start losing games both home and away. At some point, we even started praying for them because of the fact that, I mean, this is a club that was just barely put together 2 years ago. They did an impressive job last season, even in the Super 8, coming down to this first, you know, tier. Did very well during the start of the season, but then it looked as though they cannot be able to sustain that momentum. But it looked as though at the tail end of the season they are beginning to pick up. Good for them.
Good for Sporting Lagos, and as well, we saw Enyimba beating the Niger Tornadoes by 3-1, and Gombe United played 1-1 draw against Akwa United. Akwa United picking an away point this time, and Katsina United beat Plateau United by 2-0. Rivers United were able to take all 3 points against Heartland FC. 1 goal to it ended in that particular encounter, and as well, you know, the comeback of their manager, Coach Stanley Iguma, of course, maybe could possibly be the influence behind that victory. But Michael, what do you make of the victory and the return of the Rivers United manager Stanley Iguma?
Well, for me, I think it's a welcome development to see Stanley Iguma back on the touchline. You know, has been a whole lot of you know, talk about him not being on the touchline, and the way the club media, you know, handler was actually being very, very, you know, critical about telling the public the whereabouts of Stanley Iguma. A whole lot of secrecy was shrouded around him being absent from the team out there. But then, at the end of it all, we understand that he went for, you know, medical leaves and all of that. But for me, I think his presence as well had a whole lot to do with Rivers United, which for me, it was good. They got all 3 points, but not, you know, what I expected. I expected Rivers United to whitewash Heartland, because we know Heartland as one of the teams that is, you know, battling for relegation. They are in the drop zone as they stand right now. Whether they are seated 19 on the log, if I'm not mistaken, likes of Heartland, Aqua United, Bayelsa, to mention but a few, these are some of the clubs that is actually battling relegation. And for the past 17 games, Christian Obi, who is the coach of Heartland, has been trying to win a single game. He was unable. Just last week that he got a win, that 2-0 win that gave him 3 points as well. So coming to
against Abia Warriors.
I mean, yes. Coming to this game, I expected Rivers United at least to win, not just winning, but to win convincingly. But it wasn't to be, and this got me worried. Is this how they are going to struggle in a continent, where they will be meeting a very stiff opponent in this North African teams. And another thing that I would love to say is that they should start learning how to play under the floodlight right now, because I understand that in their continental game, some of those games will be played by 5 p.m. and you know what it means. It is going to stretch down to 7, and by then the night has fallen. Their opponent, they have already started training under the floodlight, so they should do this right now, so to get themselves accustomed with playing the night under the floodlight, so that it will also help them when we get for the continental game. But in all, I think the 3 points is okay for them, but I should have preferred them to win with a large goal margin.
All right, let's stay away from the Nigerian scene as we'll take a look at the FA Cup quarterfinal between Liverpool and Manchester United. Michael, we saw an impressive performance from United as they were able to get that victory in the extra time, 4-3 in that particular one. What do you make of the performance of Manchester United?
It was a good one for them to at least take the lead. Went back to allow Liverpool to draw level and also took the lead, but they also came back and equalized. It was like back and forth until it ended 3-3. At the nick of time, they had to run home with the victory, courtesy of that strike from Amad Diallo. I think it was a great result for them. But then I think Manchester United is not that club that should be celebrating winning Liverpool as though it is one big thing. It looks as though they won a trophy or even the Champions League just because they beat Liverpool, and that is to tell you how the standard at Manchester United have dropped to the extent that winning Liverpool right now become a big news for them out there. That is to tell you how the standard out there in Manchester United has fallen, how their stock has fallen. You saw their dismal performance in the Champions League, going out of the group stage, playing 6 games, conceding 15 goals. The league, when you expected them to be also fighting for the league, they are even fighting to see if they can even qualify for the top 4. And the only realistic hope for them to at least finish this season with a medal is that FA Cup, and that is why they had to put their life in the FA Cup to ensure that they overcame Liverpool. So for me, I think it was an impressive outing for them. Congratulations, but then it's not something that is worth celebrating as though they've won the cup. They still have some tasks ahead.
Man United, of course, still have some tasks ahead. Of course, Chelsea were able to get past Leicester City to get to the semi-final of the FA Cup as well. Same as Newcastle, who also get past. Same as Manchester City, who also get past Newcastle. So it is Manchester City, Chelsea in the semi-final. Coventry against Wolverhampton against Manchester United. Yes, Coventry, of course, took out Wolverhampton Wanderers, in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. But Michael, what do you make of the pairings in the quarterfinal, in the semi-final stage?
Yes, I'm very, very happy, Kingsley, to see the pairing. Coventry meeting Manchester United, Manchester City against Chelsea. I think it's a good pairing. The game between Chelsea and Manchester City, I think I kind of love that one, because looking at the whole EPL team this season that come toe-to-toe against Manchester City, it is only Chelsea that was able to push Manchester City to the edge because of the way they were able to play both Manchester City in the first and in the second leg. That first leg, how it ended 4-4. You know, it was massive. Second leg at Etihad, they were unable to even beat a certain struggling Chelsea. So look as though Chelsea, when it get to the big game, they actually lives up to the party. They are meant for the big game. If not for Liverpool and Man U that have also, you know, thwarted their efforts in the big games this season, I think they should have been rising on the high. And not even Arsenal was able to defeat them. We know the form of Arsenal so far. So I think I'm very, very happy with that pairing because we are going to see two teams that is very, very balanced. But on paper, the game between Coventry and Manchester United, on paper, many pundits out there will be definitely give it to Manchester United. But for me, I think it's also a difficult game. Looking at the way Coventry played Wolverhampton Wanderers, it took them less than 2 minutes to score 2 quick fire goals in the dying minute of the game to be able to progress to. And of course, you can't take such a team for granted because if you do, they will definitely punish you. So I think it's a good pairing for me.
Good pairings, and keep our fingers crossed and see how, of course, the semi-final will pan out at the end of the day. And let's take a look at some results we saw in the Premier League over the weekend as well, as West Ham played 1-0 draw against Aston Villa. Burnley beats Brentford by 2-1, and Nottingham Forest, of course, they actually played 1-0 draw against Luton Town. Fulham beats Tottenham Hotspur 3-0. Michael, it's really been a very, very huge setback for Tottenham Hotspur. They started the season like a house on fire, but all of a sudden, of course, we saw them, drop.
I don't know what's happened with Ange Postecoglou with his men out there. You know, just like you said, they started the season like a house on fire. In their first 10 games, you know, they were very, very, clinical, blazing on the forefront. We thought maybe they were going to contend for the league this season. And against a certain Fulham that is less fancy, they were defeated, dismantled, 3-0. I think it was quite shocking to me. Let's see what their next game brings to them, because I know that Ange Postecoglou will definitely go back to his drawing board and look what seems to be the problem in that game against Fulham, possibly correct it. Or you may say that Fulham was just good on a day. This is football game, and you can't actually underrate any team, especially them playing at home was another advantage for them, and that is why they got off 3 points.
In the Spanish La Liga, Sevilla lost to Celta Vigo by 2-1. Las Palmas lost to Almeria by 1-0. Villarreal beat Valencia 1-0. Real Vallecano beat Real Betis 2-0. Atletico Madrid lost to Barcelona, Michael, 3-0. It ended in that particular encounter.
Great display from the Catalans, talking about Barcelona out there. Vosa, Baka, we say. I think heading into that game, nobody actually gave Barcelona any chance to go to the Wanda Metropolitano, where Atletico Madrid have not lost any game so far this season. But Barcelona went there and defeated them 3-0. Very, very convincing result. I think it was an impressive display from the Barca boys and Xavi. There we saw João Felix also, who also made a difference. Scoring against his club, his former club, though still on loan at Barca. The first leg he also scored and celebrated, and he got the fans angry at the Atletico authority. This time around he also scored. I think it was a great display. Robert Lewandowski as well, an experienced striker, also giving 2 assists and scoring one of them. I think it was an impressive display from Barca. And funny enough, since Xavi Hernandez said that he was going to step down at the end of the season, he has actually played about 10 games without losing any. Is that not shocking? What does it tell you? Look as though the pressure has relieved of Xavi Hernandez, and that is why he's focused on getting the result. Immediately he made that announcement. I mean, there were less pressure on him right now, and that is why he's getting the result. It was an impressive victory for Barcelona.
I can't say the Barca management, trying what is going to keep him, no matter how things are, at the moment. I think Xavi is not happy with the fact that he's not giving the necessary support, in the team.
Yeah.
But I think is it Joan Laporta? No, is it Joan Laporta or is it Joan Laporta the president now? I think they should look for a means to see how they can, talk to the man to stay.
I think the doors for negotiation or renegotiation rather is still very much open. Of course, Javi Hernandez is a Barcelona owner. I mean, this is where he grew up, so he understands every nooks and cranny of Barcelona. He knows the philosophy. So the door for renegotiation is still very much open, although he was not happy with the way the management is treating him. Look as though what he has achieved for Barcelona has not been valued, and again, lack of financial support to get the right kind of play that he wish to build a team around is another issue. So I think for me, there's still much room for them to renegotiate and possibly see if they can be able to make him to persuade his mind and turn his mind back to the Barca. Because if you ask me, I think this is the only man that truly understands what it means to be a true backer. You know, he grew up there, he understands the philosophy, knows the both in and out. So I think for me, they should do everything possible to ensure that they convince.
You know, for a very long time, this is when we're actually seeing stability.
Yeah.
Since Pep left the side.
Yeah. This is the first time since even Messi left as well, who was also looking to be the Barca himself, because at some point people called Barca Messi and Messi Barca. This is the first time, and funny enough, this is the first time in about 4 years where Barca is making it through to the semi-final of the Champions League. Don't forget, a short period that Xavi came into Barca. In first season, he didn't do anything, but then he finished very good on the league. In second season, he was able to lift, you know, the La Liga, having the likes of even Atletico Madrid or even Real Madrid that have steady coach, that have steadied the ship all over there. But he came and he was able to win the league last season. So for me, such a coach, he need to be appreciated, and that is why he's not happy. He doesn't have the money to get the kind of player. He resort back to the academy, the La Masia, to bring in some young boys. These are names that you don't even know. Yamin Lamal, under age 17 years, some 16 years plus some months are there. Yet, he's still churning the result out there, still competing for the title, still pushing Madrid to the edge. It's just 8-point adrift of the league leader, and we still have a couple of games to go. So he's still very much in the title race. In the Champions League, he's taking Barca to the semi-final first in 4 years. I think this man needs to be appreciated with the little resources that is within his disposal, yet he's getting the results. So I think they should find a way to be able to persuade him, because he is the right man that is going to pilot the affairs of Barcelona to that point where Barcelona will actually gain back that respect which they deserve. Because when Iniesta, Xavi, Villa, Messi left, you look as though Neymar, you look as though Barcelona have crumbled. But this man is coming back to bring back that philosophy.
All right, I think we have to call it a wrap now, because our time is up. A lot to talk about, you know, because a lot happened over the weekend. But we'll try most kind, of course, to keep you up to speed tomorrow, just to make sure that we keep you, you know, updated with the latest. But Michael, it's been an impressive time, though time, of course, didn't really give us the opportunity.
Yes, of course, time is never a friend whenever you are enjoying yourself talking sport. But then we'll make a return tomorrow morning.
All right, don't forget, peace and unity over the pathways to progress. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Thanks for watching.
Immortality as an athlete, 19.79. It's a goal, it's 8 goals.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and